Welcome to the Business and Growth Podcast. My name is Catherine Aragon, and today we're talking about the marketing renaissance that needs to take place if we're going to improve marketing results. For the last 20 years, digital marketing has operated on a very simple formula. Create content, optimize it for search and social, and then watch traffic and leads roll in. But I don't know if you've noticed, that formula isn't working like it used to. Search is declining. Organic reach on social has been throttled. The cost of paid ads is skyrocketing, and the platforms we've relied on, Google, LinkedIn, Meta, you name it, they're prioritizing their own revenue and engagement over ours. If it feels like marketing is getting harder, it's not your imagination. We've entered a new era of digital marketing, and the strategies that worked 5 years ago, 10 years ago, simply won't cut it anymore. Now, this isn't a small tweak that we're needing. We need a full circle moment. Marketing is starting to look more like it did before the internet, and that requires a total revamp of everything we're doing. It requires a new playbook, a mix of new and old tactics curated for a new digital era. I'm calling this the digital renaissance, a return to classic marketing principles, modernized for today's world. Let's start with the death of easy organic growth. Not long ago, organic marketing was the most efficient way to build an audience and drive sales. You could publish a great blog post, rank it on Google, or go viral on LinkedIn, and your traffic would grow. Not anymore. Search traffic is declining. Google is answering more questions directly in search results, reducing clicks to websites. Generative AI threatens to take this even further. If you think about it, we're creating all this content for Google, and Google is using it to create their own solutions machine. It's just user-generated content recycled by Google for Google. So SEO is not your solution. Social media, organic reach, is at an all-time low, and I believe this is going to get worse. Facebook, LinkedIn, X, all the platforms throttle posts that include external links. And if you aren't paying, you aren't playing. Now, here's why I think that's a problem and why I think that's only going to get worse. These platforms are a business in and of themselves. They don't want us to take traffic away from them. They're no longer willing to be a partner where we create content, but we get something in return. Instead, we're there to improve their platform. We're there for them. And no, they're not going to allow us to post our promotional content if it doesn't help them. If it takes traffic away, sure, they're going to throttle it. Then another piece of the puzzle is the cost of ads, which is soaring. PPC costs have doubled or tripled in many industries, making paid traffic unsustainable for many brands. And of course, content saturation is at an all-time high, especially now with AI products and AI tools out there. Anyone can create content, and to be honest, they can create relatively decent content. As AI gets better, it's faster, easier to create content, and saturation is happening. More content is being created than ever before, and it's getting harder and harder for people to see it. The reality, we can't rely on free distribution anymore. So, what's the solution? I'm going to give you a shift from a website-centric approach to an authority-centric approach. And this is what I believe is the new marketing moat. For the last 2 decades, marketers have been warned, don't build your brand on rented land. And I get it. I agreed with it. My web and all my clients' websites, that was the source. You would go, you would read their blog, and you would get a sense of who they are. But if you think about it, back then, we surfed the web for fun. Then social media came along. Social media became prominent, and it was more fun to go to social media and see those links to the blogs than it was to intentionally search for websites and their blog content. So everything has changed about our online behaviors, and that makes this essentially what makes it makes it critical to our survival. So, while don't build your land on rented land made sense at the time, you see, social media was volatile, organic reach could vanish overnight, so we wanted to drive traffic back to an owned property, the website. And the website was the hub, the single source of truth. All content led back there. But that strategy doesn't work anymore. In a recent article, I shared how UGC platforms, which is kind of how I'm seeing Google, LinkedIn, Meta, etc., actively throttle content that directs people away from their platform. And the platforms have changed the rules. We can't rely on our websites as the sole hub anymore. We actually have to create audiences on these other platforms. Now, that doesn't mean abandoning websites altogether, but it does mean that the idea of owning your audience needs a rethink. Instead of trying to force traffic to a central hub, we simply need to meet our audience where they are. And if you think about it, this is just a return to basic marketing. So how do you build a marketing moat? Let's talk about this shift from, the owned platform to a multi-channel authority plan. Instead of funneling everything back to our websites, the new approach it's basically strategic omnipresence. We build a marketing moat, a diversified, resilient brand presence that exists across multiple platforms. That means showing up wherever your audience is already spending time. That may be LinkedIn. For B2B companies, that's usually it. But it could also be podcasts, industry forums, YouTube, whatever works for your audience. Second, investing in brand plus authority rather than just traffic, because people follow and engage with brands they recognize and trust. And then finally, adapting content formats to each platform instead of forcing every piece of content into a blog post. Now, this isn't about abandoning owned platforms. It's about playing the long game of influence. Instead of saying, how do we get them back to our website? We need to ask, how do we build authority in the places they already are? How do we create content so valuable that people seek us out? How do we become known for our expertise, regardless of the channel? This is where the authority ecosystem comes in. Now, I am creating this as a new approach to top-of-funnel marketing. The authority ecosystem is your hedge against algorithm chaos. The big risk of relying solely on UGC platforms, and remember that means Google and social media platforms and YouTube, anything that has an algorithm of its own, is platform risk. Algorithms shift, and that can wipe out visibility overnight. That's why savvy marketers are building their own self-sustaining authority ecosystems. Whereas 10 years ago, we were building it all on our website, we're still creating something on owned platforms, but it's our own ecosystem. It's not necessarily on the website. An authority ecosystem is a set of owned channels that allow you to promote your ideas without interference from an algorithm. Now, for me, this includes a newsletter that gives me direct audience connection, a podcast, the one you're listening to, which is a long-form authority platform, and a book club, which is where I lead learning and thought leadership. For others, it might be a private community, a video series, a live event series, speaking, publishing, regardless of what it is. The goal is to own distribution in key areas while still leveraging external platforms strategically. You see, UCG platforms are amplification tools. We use them to build awareness. Our authority ecosystem gives us control and credibility. This is where we nurture deep relationships. So yes, we will continue to use social media. We'll continue to do SEO. We'll continue to do all the same things. But without this authority ecosystem, we are going to continue to have poor results. We need to build a place, an ecosystem where people can enter through one door, be exposed to all of our content, and they learn that, oh, this is the place to be. This is where I'm getting all the answers I need. Now, quality is another issue. And this really is important because when in the saturation that we're seeing, with the amount of content being created, quality is the new currency. So as I'm seeing it, pre-internet was not an amateur show. One of the things we loved about digital marketing was it allowed us to, be free and loose and talk in our natural voice. We weren't so professional. And that was incredibly attractive for 10 to 15 years. It made us look unique and different from those big corporations who could afford the big brands. But things have shifted online. And when saturation hits a certain tipping point, that casual voice is not going to be as powerful as the one that is totally together, that is cohesive, that's branded, that's quality. Now, this really is a critical shift. Brand perception matters more than ever. And I'll say it again, in the early days of the internet, we prided ourselves on looking like indie creators rather than corporate brands. Casual, rough around the edges content actually worked better. But that era is over. We have more than hit the tipping point. Today's standards have risen because we all have access to better tools. Quality production does build trust. Whether it's your newsletter, a podcast, or a website, it needs to look polished, professional, and intentional. Being human is still an edge, and I believe that's going to be more of an edge as AI takes hold. But human doesn't mean sloppy. It means authenticity. It means professional execution. AI has raised expectations. If ChatGPT can turn out passable content, what sets us apart is our perspective, our creativity, our originality. We are our own algorithm. If we expect people to trust us over an AI-generated blog post, our content needs to be that much better. So there are 3 pillars of the digital marketing renaissance. If the old playbook is broken, what's the new one? The answer lies in 3 shifts that define this new era of marketing. The first is authority ecosystems, thought leadership, content, and brand positioning that makes you the go-to expert in your space. The second is omnipresence marketing. You must be visible everywhere your audience hangs out, rather than relying on a single channel. And third, customer-first growth, building an experience that makes customers want to stay, refer, and engage, because customer retention is the new acquisition. So where do we go from here? This really is a massive shift, one that will define marketing for the next decade or more. Businesses that cling to outdated digital marketing strategies are going to struggle. Businesses that embrace the new digital renaissance will thrive. So I've created this series, a couple of pieces around this. And today I'm just introducing the concept of this marketing renaissance, the shift in the way we build our brands and get the word out about who we are and what we do. Next week, I'll give you part 2. And this breaks down exactly how to future-proof your marketing and build a strategy that works in this new era. Until then, start thinking about your marketing moat. Ask yourself, what would happen if I lost 80% of my organic traffic overnight? If LinkedIn disappeared tomorrow, how would you reach your audience? Are you building an audience that belongs to you or to someone else? It's time to shift our mindset. We're not just digital marketers anymore. We're architects of sustainable growth. Next, we'll talk about how to future-proof your marketing. Until then, Focus on this new renaissance and how it changes your perception about how you can show up and be visible. And if you want to learn more about conversion, you know what? You can't do better than attending Conversion Live. This is a conference that I'm putting on with Conversion Sciences. We're talking not just about conversion, we're also talking about AI and the changes that's making for all of us as marketers. If you want to step up your marketing, if you want to future-proof it, come to Conversion Live. You can learn more at conversionlive.com. Thanks so much.